It's the morning edition of the A Game. Normally I do it on Monday nights, but because of my guest and knowing his crazy-ass schedule, we decided to do it now, so I appreciate Brian Vander Ark for being available for me. And Brian, I was going to do this wonderful big-time introduction. Then I saw a video that you did on TikTok that I think in a weird way just kind of sums up a little bit of your life. So Ethan, if you could fire that up and then...
Defined as a one-hit wonder. That's what people say because of the Freshman, because it was so big. But we're not a one-hit wonder because we had songs like Photograph. Photograph was in the top 10. That was a hit song. MTV played the hell out of that. Maybe you saw that video. And then we had a song called Never Let You Down that was in the top 20, and that did really well for us. And, oh, by the way, we had a song called Colorful that I wrote for the movie Rockstar. Do you know that movie? Jennifer Aniston and Mark Wahlberg? Mark Wahlberg sings the song that I wrote to Jennifer Aniston in the end of the movie, and he lip syncs to my voice. How cool is that? You think fucking Rob Thomas has anybody lip syncing his songs in a movie? No. So it makes me crazy that, I also have solo albums, and all of these solo songs have stories to them. 1229 Sheffield and The Heart That Keeps You and Little Man, and yet still people call us a one-hit wonder because of the song The Freshman. And you know what? Frankly, I'm sick of playing The Freshman.
I think I'm gonna go now.
Oh, don't go. For the life of me, I can...
First off, you have a great sense of humor about all this, which I think is fantastic. Yeah. And it really does encompass a lot of, well, a good chunk of, let's say, your career in a nutshell, because as somebody who was in radio when the Villains album came out, I was introduced to you guys by Photograph, which is a brilliant, brilliant song.
Thank you.
So... look, I know you've probably talked about The Freshman till you're blue in the face. We'll touch on it, but there's other things that are going on with you and the band and your life, which, by the way, Brian Vander Ark, the lead singer of the Verve Pipe, is now in my world. I've been doing radio for about 30 years, and now Brian has decided he wants to get involved in this crazy-ass business, and the Brian Vander Ark Show is being heard now in Grand Rapids on classic rock station WLAV. Congratulations on diving into this pool, and what made you decide to do it?
Quite frankly, it was the benefits. I mean, I've never in my life had insurance. Medical or dental, and I've got kids, and they offered a package, and they said, you'd only have to work an hour a day, a week, and track 4-hour show. I'm like, I'm there, and I can show from behind, backstage, shows, I can do it in hotel rooms, so it's such an easy gig. And it's a lot of fun because I grew up in classic rock. I grew up on WLAV, so I've known these stations for years. So I do enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm glad. I was about to ask you how they're making it work with your schedule, because you're doing this while you're still going out on the road, and the Verve Pipe's going to be doing a lot of shows this summer. So by utilizing, as we call it, radio technology, you're able to put the show ahead of time in there if you need it. You do it live when you need to do it live, and it becomes this good balance. And obviously, the complete support of the radio stations is a big help in that whole process.
Huge help. I mean, they know what my life is like, and when they approach about it, I said, look, we're out 100 shows a year.
Right.
It's like I'm going to be gone, and really that's not a problem. So that's why I'm in.
And I love the honesty. A lot of people don't realize that, when you are a musician, you are your own business. The Verve Pipe is, in a sense, its own business. So when you talk about the fact, hey, I be honest, I needed benefits. So taking advantage of that, that's one less cost in your life. And knowing that you also have, your wife and your kids, that has to be a huge, huge help.
It is a huge help. And being a musician these days, there's no money in streaming. So you've got to find other avenues of income. And this is just another avenue. I mean, I do speaking as well. That's a nice paycheck. It's like you got to continue to find ways to not only stay relevant as it is, your own career. And there's no way to do it by just going out at this level and then live shows.
Right. That's honest. I appreciate that. Ethan, give me photo number 10 so I can put it up there. A little promo for him. There it is. The Brian Vander Ark Show. More than likely, they have a streaming service. So if you are listening outside of Grand Rapids, go to the radio station's website. Check out the streaming. Not that I want him competing against me, but you know what? I give him all the props in the world, and I've seen enough of your videos. Your personality has to come out. And again, another creative outlet, because knowing what you do on TikTok, and by the way, if you're not following him on Instagram or TikTok, you're missing out. Just hashtag effing Rob Thomas alone. Thank you very much.
Poor Rob. Rob does nothing to deserve the feud that I have put on. But I think it comes off as self-deprecating.
Yes.
Like, continue to do it. In fact, he's all one of them who got out of it.
Oh, that's cool. No, I'm glad he's getting a kick out of it. No, a great example. If you go to his Instagram page and find one of the videos, there's Brian in the car singing to a police officer, and the police officer still gives him the ticket. So there you go.
And that's the one that Rob said, yes, Brian, I can get outside of a ticket. And it's probably true. Yeah.
Did you ever think in a million years that it's like all the stuff that you're doing on video would just spark so much interest? Because obviously, like you said, self-deprecating, funny, just you being, I get the feeling you, because I really don't, I've only met you a couple of times. So not that I know who you are, but you do get an idea of your sense of humor through all this.
Well, I think it's important to keep a sense of humor. This industry, the music industry, is a pain in the ass. I mean, it's been a pain in the ass. 1992, in my opinion. Things have been changing, and as soon as you think about up, it's streaming comes out, and like get 4 million freshmen, like you check for $200. Come on, what am I doing here? But back then, I'm a songwriter. I wake up every day and I think about a song I'm working on, the pieces thing. I love that. And it's an outlet for me, and it's a way that I can, continue having a live music. And if I want to write music, I gotta have a sense of humor. Anybody has.
No, it's a good way of looking at it. And you mentioned 1992. I actually got a photo, I think, probably from back there. Ethan, give me photo number 2. This was the very beginning. There was this competition that was going on. I like how Brian's like shying his head down like, oh my God, where did you find that? It turns out in this competition, there was a Jersey band that was also involved in this. So bravo to James. Psychedelic Government from around Long Branch, New Jersey.
I don't remember that band in the check. What's wrong with the picture is that I didn't even notice. I hardly see it, but I tried to destroy any trace with dreadlocks. Which is totally appropriations. I'm 100% Dutch.
I did not know that.
I've got Dutch sense rhythm. Platinum on 1, 2, and the 2 and 4. So.
And you wound up as a rock singer with no sense of rhythm. Come on now.
True. I did love the contact thing, and that was the first. That was the end of our manager. Who's been my manager since 1993, I think. He was a judge at the world competition in Japan. We actually lost in the second world competition. We lost the Japanese duo who was singing Real to Real, which was just a little ludicrous at the time. It's like this isn't even a band. But we realized that the grand prize was a Japanese car that would give you that American sex. So we figured they're not going to get our God. Regardless, ended up getting signed after that. It was a nice thing.
There you go. Yeah, which led to your run on RCA Records, which I get to pull this out from my personal collection. And the reason you know it partly is from my personal collection. There's a little tag down there. It says not for sale. Oh, right, there we go. Let me point at it.
Yeah,
not for sale. Yeah.
Wow. And, the blue jewel case. Funny thing is when people come up and want to sign the album, we know whether you're in the first 2,000 that off that record. Because they'll have one version of Freshman on it, blue, which is a little rare, million or whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I was happy to have found, because I only found it recently. Like within the last month, I was going through like all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, hey, I happy to have this, because I will be the first to say this is one of those albums. If you download it top to bottom, it's just a great listen, and it all flows incredibly well. And now I'll bring up The Freshman. Obviously, it was a monster hit. But in a sense, it kind of overshadowed everything else on the album. Look, that does happen with, certain albums. But that's why I encourage people, go back to the album. Go listen to the title track, Villains. Go listen to Cup of Tea. Go listen to Photograph. You're going to find just the layers of this rock band that was just doing everything just right on this album, without a doubt.
Well, I appreciate that, Rob. I mean, we set that bar high with our album, Pop Smear, which is an album. Like every song has got to be great, start to finish. And we're gonna pay attention to things, because I like to see people on a roller coaster ride on an album. Like our live shows, I like dynamics and we've done that now for what I think all studio records, same bars and set, and we don't mean that's all there is to it.
You talk about going on that ride. You're not afraid to take a little detour, let's say, because you actually did a couple of children's albums at one point. What motivated you to go that way?
I mean, honestly, that was a moment situation where I had 3 young kids, and I realized whenever I go to a performance somewhere, I bought one kid, I was buying shoes for all my kids. And I thought, well, what's on the other side of that? Let's get on the inside of that. Let's out a kid record. And our merchandise sales quadrupled because of that. We don't do the shows anymore because they're exhausting. But we still sell a lot of those records and merchandise.
That's fantastic. And I remember when you were touring back then with it, because you were doing daytime shows. So that was sort of the whole idea. You're tying everything around, this is family, this is kids. We're going to do an 11 a.m. or a 1 in the afternoon show. So, I mean, that had to kind of mess with your body schedule at some point, where you're sitting there. We're used to being out at night. Now we're doing, and everything has to be, in a weird way, readjusted and taking the turns on the ride that you need to take.
Not only the schedule, but the kid shows are, I'm going to say twice as hard as the adult shows. Kid shows, you have to go on and you have to be on an hour straight. If the kids get bored, then the parents they'll get sad because the kids now on pension and the tickets. So we had to do all the. There's no dynamic kid show. It's 100% go scene the whole time. And then that night we would play a more dynamic where you can break and jam session kind of thing. But it was just way too much. We just couldn't do it anymore. There's no way anybody could hold up for the kid shows and adult shows.
Right. I didn't realize you were doubling up on some of these things. Where you're doing, okay, here's the kid show during the day, here's the rock show at night.
Most times we coordinate it with a night show.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a hell of a toll, because it's like, okay, so we did an hour during the day, we're doing an hour and a half at night, and then we're doubling up for X amount of weeks potentially. It's like, by the time you're getting off the road, I'm sure the first thing you're like, hi everybody, I'm sleeping for 2 days. I'll see you later.
That's exactly right. Just a relaxed road and to heal.
Right.
But since the band has been playing so much more and making records, and we just stopped doing.
Yeah. Well, look, I think it says a lot about your journey that you were willing to kind of take that detour and do these things and continue to do things. I know it's you and your brother that still are the main crux of the band. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go back into the time warp. Give me photo number 1. It's the only photo I got with these two guys, but this is like 1996 or 97.
Oh.
I'm like, that is me. I literally was over 300 pounds at that point, which is scary.
So where was that? Was that in
That was New Jersey, yeah. WHTG FM 106.3. You had arrived in this house in the middle of nowhere, and there you guys are coming in. I think it's probably first or second time you were at the station. You came there at least 4 times in a span of a year, which was great, because obviously we were big supporters of the album.
I gotta say, I remember that because it had only been one time where I went to a house in the suburbs and radio. Is that your place?
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah. You're in this community of Eatontown, New Jersey. You're pulling up the long driveway. You see this ranch house, and you're probably going, what have we driven ourselves into here?
We're going to get murdered.
Everybody sort of has that reaction of like going, this can't be real. Oh, my God.
Right.
We're going to a house. This cool alternative station we're listening to that we're on is out of somebody's house.
That's what was great about the station, though, is that you played what you wanted to play. And those kinds of radio stations were always the best for us throughout the years.
Absolutely. I mean, alt rock embraced you guys with open arms, and that's sort of the great story. Going back to how we started with your TikTok video, it was more than just the one song, because at Rock and Alternative, you guys literally now had we had 3 songs. Okay, so in this world, we're really getting the support. We're really well known. But then all of a sudden, you have the monster hit. Now it's like, okay, now everybody else knows about us. And now we're being shared in a bunch of different ways. Which, look, as an artist, that has to feel good. But at the same token, it's still that, okay, buckle up. This ride's about to get very, very interesting. And what happens after the ride is done, so to speak.
Right. For us, the best thing about me personally is that it's a... Although it's not the favorite thing I've written, it is a well-written song.
Yeah.
I can hang my hat on and say, hey, I wrote that song. People love the song, still love the song. It's got staying power. It's not like I wrote I'm sexy or something like that. It's a novelty song in the novelty tour. So if people do the show, of course we'll play the Freshman. But there are so many other entertaining songs that we play. And we're 100% on performing all the time. We'll try to change the show every night. We'll come up with ideas, we'll snip it or something. We always interesting. But be able to hang that at the end of the day, like I said, that's the song to get people out.
When people are going to see the Verve Pipe live, and I know you're going to, like we said, you're going to be back on the road this summer. One of the shows, give me photo number 11, Ethan, you're going to jump on for at least the night on the Summer of 99 tour with Creed, and I know you got a show with Toad the Wet Sprocket, who's on their anniversary tour, so you're jumping on, and then you're going to be doing your thing as well, just you on stage. So we're on a bill like the Creed one, would probably maybe more like a 30, 35-minute set. When you're doing your thing, you can do an hour and a half, and dive into all the albums and dive into all the intricacies, because I know, as I've seen the lineup, the one thing that struck me when I saw you a few years ago, I was like going, oh, there's a girl in the band. She's got a great voice. Holy crap.
Yeah.
And honestly, that brought another dimension to the background vocals. I mean, not that it was, I don't know, was it done intentionally?
Well, our drummer left band. He sang all the high harmonies. He left in 2014. I needed somebody to hit the high harmonies. And I thought, I knew Channing, and I knew she was a great lyricist. I hadn't even considered songwriting with her. I said, hey, would you come do some backup to do fun? And she did that for some years. And then when I'm making a new album, it was running out of lyrics. I said, why don't you see what you do with it? Oh my God! Open up one new world of songs, a different perspective as female, and also the fact that she and I both we've talked about this. Born entertainment. We've always wanted her to change. She played Andrew for years. She was a kid. So she's all tapping, juggling the whole thing. And not at our, but she's incredibly entertaining and very, very, very. She has a little moment. She does a song with a little that in the house and every night. It's always a great show with her. Well, she keeps everybody sane. She's the only sane of all of them.
You need that in the band, without a doubt.
Definitely need that.
Go to the band's website to find out all the dates that are going on this summer and while they're jumping around. And not only have we mentioned radio, we've mentioned music. We got to mention Brian Vander Ark, the actor, as well. I mean, the film that kind of got you going. There was this little film that Mark Wahlberg did called Rockstar. Yeah, it was just as Ethan. Is it photo number 14 with the whole the whole clip there? I think it is. Click on that. Nope, not that one. We'll get to that. Maybe 13 then. Nope, you didn't download, did it? Okay, there was a photo of Brian with Mark Wahlberg and the band in the movie, and the cool thing about the movie, we'll refer back to how we started with that TikTok video, is you talk about your voice coming out of Mark Wahlberg at the end of the movie in Colorful, the song. And what was your first reaction when you saw it? I mean, obviously you said it was cool, but were you kind of thrown back at least a little bit, kind of going, oh, it's cool, but it's weird. It's like, there's my voice.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I thought it was terrible. I thought they had to redo it. I was like, this looks like he slipped in my voice. And Mark said, don't worry about it. Nobody's going to know the difference. And to this day, up a few years ago, put them up after our show. What you guys think of Mark Wahlberg? Oh, God.
Wow. That's
happened before. Because Colorful is really taking our life. It's our only other really big hit through word of mouth. People remember the graph, but mention Colorful. I mean, everybody knows Rockstar, VH1, or replays on TNT or whatever.
Yeah, TBS. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So when it came out, that album that Colorful was on, and the movie came out on 9/11. So there was no promo for the movie, no promo for the album. So nobody really saw it. It's like Shawshank Redemption, and anybody goes to Shawshank Redemption in the theater? Not really. I mean, it took TNT, which I call the Shawshank Redemption channel, play it, you find it. Same thing with rock.
And it's interesting because there's been a couple of movies that have been music based that found life not necessarily in the theater, but like through cable, like Rockstar, like Eddie and the Cruise is another great example. If it weren't for HBO and all the other cable networks just running this thing to death, it wouldn't have been the phenomenon that it was.
Well, what's great too is that at the same time, Almost Famous came out, which is a phenomenal movie.
It really is.
Hands down, it's a better movie than all the way around. Great camera girl, performances are awesome, music's great. But I remember my brother saying, "Oh, you should have been in Almost Famous. That's a better movie." And I said, "Well, yeah, but do I ever Almost Famous on TV? No, I never do." It's like so I wouldn't. And I don't I'm trying to run a business. Pretty good business.
But I'm guessing, too, because I know you did a couple more films after that, so obviously Rockstar did at least give you a little more work in that world, which is not the worst thing in the world. I mean, I didn't realize this until I was doing my homework. You were actually in David Bautista, I think it may be in his first film when he started to do the acting world in WWE. Love your reaction about that. The House of the Rising Sun, which had a pretty good cast around Batista, but obviously this was a launching platform for him as an actor, not knowing at that point he turned into the box office superstar that he is today.
Right. The funny thing is that I did a nice guy in the world. We were working together on this movie. And I was trying to act with him. He was new to act. I was new to act with him. Like takes were taking too long. This really his fault. Might have been most. I don't know. But we weren't acting actor way. People say that. And it's great. It's I got to connect with them that way. But you really didn't have to read it. You have to look in their eyes. And I didn't read anything he was saying. And he didn't read anything and I was like, oh, I'm going to end up. And the other thing about that movie that's funny is that it's called The House of the Rising Sun. But it was filmed in Grand Rapids, Michigan. It was about the mafia in Grand Rapids. Like we are 90% Dutch here, and there is no Dutch mafia as far as I know.
So obviously, with the film being done in Grand Rapids, it gave you a bit of a leg up. But at the same token, you kind of go mafia, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Here are two things that just don't go together at all.
I'm sorry. I don't recommend the movie. If you want to see me as a cop, as a corrupt cop, it's kind of fun. But and I did have a nice friend that. So I have to give the director and too for taking that as for him to be off and act. It didn't do anything. acting.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, it wasn't the launching tool for you on that. I'm being deadly honest on that. But obviously, it's sort of that, okay, I was in David Bautista's first movie. Now, looking back.
Kids are blown away by that.
Was
They're
that
blown away by the fact that I'm in a movie with Batista. I like to keep surprising my kids all the time. My kids are 18 and 8. And now they're into the media stuff, and they see that I'm in a movie with Batista, and they'd lost their shit over it.
Yeah, I mean, I gather, you like you said, you're not a big wrestling fan, so there's a part of you that just, you're really making this big of a deal out of it? What?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Fine, sure.
So funny. I mean, honestly, the whole acting thing is really funny. I mean, when I did it was a blast. What I really love is sounds pretentious. I love doing theater stuff. Went down and did a theater show. Collected works with the kid was great. Got to work on Haddis, amazing. So that was awesome. That's where I met Townsend. You know, he's a board member on that theater in La Jolla. Mentioned me at a concert that night. It was a dream. That was the part of acting that I love the most.
Now, what's interesting, and we exposed the photo, but we're going to put it back up now in photo 14, because you talk about acting, and yet you get to work with Jeff Daniels, but it's not about acting. It was about music. How does this come together? I've heard over the years that Jeff is a guy who writes a lot of songs, but you don't get to hear him perform that much. So what brought this whole thing of you and Jeff Daniels to record an album?
Well, Jeff did a documentary my buddy did on my concert tour. And he loved it. He got my number and he called me. You know, we're both music guys, so we're already kind of familiar. And asked me if I could write a song with him. We wrote a song on my solo album called The Town, and then I had this idea for our Verve Pipe song called Overboard. I didn't have a story, and I went to Jeff, and Jeff came up with this amazing story. He wrote a short story and everything, the lyrics. And I said, why don't we do an album together, storytelling songs? Because both he and I love it. We did. We made Social Truths, I think, 16 or 20.
Wow. That's a unique experience. I mean, it's sort of the other way around. You're like going, okay, I'm trying to get into acting. I'm going to work with Jeff Daniels, but it's not going to be in a film. Oh
yeah. No, I mean, the thing is, like, I've never reached that trust to say, hey,
no, much respect for that. I think that's something.
I wasn't saying you thought that either. The idea is that I could be a better storyteller, like getting with an actor who's written so many stories, who's read so many and been in so many movies. I knew that was the guy who would make songwriting, or at least make the story in that. That's a great idea.
With all these connections, now I'm going to tie it all the way back to what you're doing on the side on radio now, because we'll talk about Batista, Jeff Daniels, some other people you worked with, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Jeremy Sisto, Diedrich Bader, Portia de Rossi. You've worked with some really good people. Have you decided in any way, like, okay, now that I'm doing a radio show, can I get them maybe to call in for 5 minutes? Do I reach out?
I'd never do it.
Okay, respect. I mean,
it's like a Jeff thing. Like, I consider them friends, you know, all the people I've worked with, and sometimes they'll call in a favor, and if they call in a favor, which happens on occasion, I'll say something like, hey, we've been a line for this kind of thing, you know, for training. I would never like start to say, hey, do me a favor and be on my show and this podcast.
I respect you for that, because I have no shame. I at least admit that fact. I have zero shame.
People, but I like the idea. Like now, the name is in a really good place. Like we're on the uptick, you know, for the last year, and especially since COVID. And when I hear it, when things start to come in, more and more, like podcasts and other podcasts come in. And then you start hearing about those people that you used to know back in the day and all this stuff. Then you know that's a bonus. I go out every day, try to listen, try to sell myself to everybody. But yes, I'm going to get those there, but I'm not going to get the feeling of there's a nice little buzz on the band, which I like better.
Right. No. Again, you got to go with what works for you and what feels good for you at the end of the day when you look in the mirror and say, that's where it really counts. You got to feel good about whatever you decide to do and how you go about doing it. So much respect on how you handle that, my friend.
I appreciate it.
No problem. Brian Vander Ark of the Verve Pipe is here on the A Game. I get into my random shot segment. Normally, I'd be taking a random shot, but it's too early in the morning. I can't do that. But I will say this. This is going to be a random shot segment that has a bit of a Michigan slant to it. I will say that, but I'm going to ask, absolutely, I'm going to ask one question, and it's based on your videos. Yeah, obviously, I've become a stalker, so I can come up with these questions. So I'm going to talk about emptying out the dishwasher, although you only needed a fork, or putting the seat back down after using it at a unisex bathroom. Which is the better victory lap?
Repeat them again.
By the way, if you go pay attention to his videos, he's got a little thing called Victory Lap, and they're just fun. They're almost like dad jokes in a sense, but they're a lot of fun. So the two that I found two that he did. Emptying out the dishwasher, although you only needed a fork. The other one he posted, and he's posted a few. Putting the seat back down after using a unisex bathroom.
I'm going to say putting the seat back down is easy as in a bathroom. I can move it in and do everything. Problem with the dishwasher is I got to bend over the whole time to empty or load the dishwasher. I don't want to do it bend over. I'm 6'7". Forget it.
Okay, the trials and tribulations of a tall guy. Okay,
yeah,
I get it. Well, with his segment, I'm going to add one thing, and I'm going to create this for you. So give me photo number 9, if you would, Ethan. You probably know how to store your vodka after you've opened the bottle. Take your victory lap, Brian Vander Ark.
How about that? That's so funny. That's my old house. And the vodka, the ice is no good for me. It's no good for me. It's not when you pour it into a get it.
I'm with you, and much respect on Tito's on that. I did catch it was Tito's vodka there. Well done. With that in mind, now I'm going to dive into stuff that I call the Michigan edition of Random Shots. And the good thing about this is I've had two guests who have been from Michigan. Ming Chen, who's part of Comic Book Men and The World of Kevin Smith. I've had, God, now I'm trying to remember, Rob Weldon, author and former record exec for Roadrunner Records. Now, I post this photo to you at photo number 5, and it's got to be the same reaction. It's distinctively Michigan. So, Ethan, number 5, what is it about Faygo soda that is so Michigan, and why can't, if I got to get a bottle, I got to go through Amazon.com just to get a bottle, and I keep hearing, oh, this stuff is great.
It's still a hidden gem, man. And it's one, I think it's the last things from Michigan that can bring you so much pleasure. And that is the taste Faygo pop.
Yeah,
I love it.
And is the traditional pop the favorite, or is there another flavor that you like?
I've been into the orange Faygo since I was a little kid. It's almost like green soda taste. Just love it. Like you're into it. Faygo's the way to go. I hope it's Michigan. You know, in St. Cloud, they still bring Faygo out into the audience. Their tradition as well. If you want Faygo, Michigan, and then I want you.
I still have yet to try it. It's gotta happen. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the Villains album, because the last song of the album is Veneer. Give me photo number 7, Ethan. You talk about driving down Route 31, which is a route that literally goes from like the top of Michigan, goes down past Michigan, actually runs through the whole United States, but this is a major thoroughfare as far as roads go. What is it about that road that inspired you to do that one song, and what memories do you have when I talk about Route 31?
That was always a very interesting time for the band. That's what I consider 31. When we were going up to Tack or other, went up to the U to go play on Mac Island or something. Those were the 8 days on Dave Pipe. Really before we even got signed. So I have a great theory for 31 and Drive. That would be long and lonely, at night, especially in the deer and the whole dangerous. But during the day, beautiful drive. Get where you are. Michigan's got cliffs and hills up in that area, but still, the pine trees or dead woods, it's gorgeous.
It's funny. I think about the lyric in the song. You talk about at the end, I'm flying. And I guess that's the feeling you get when on a daytime drive on 31. Like you said, you can forget everything and just kind of just soak everything in and just feel that.
I think we all have 31.
I agree.
Describe that. I'm sure everybody can go up there, road or section of the United States that they love is similar to that. It is a beautiful drive, and one of the many great things about Michigan, northern Michigan, absolutely stunning, beautiful.
Doing random shots that has a Michigan slant with Brian Vander Ark of the Verve Pipe. Okay, now, one thing that's happened in West Michigan, and I got to give Adam Richmond all the credit on Man vs. Food. Many, many moons ago, give me photo number 4, Ethan. He took on what was called the Fifth Third Burger Challenge, where he had to try to eat this behemoth of a burger inside the 7th inning stretch to the end. And obviously, they don't do this burger anymore, so this was a popular item at Whitecaps games. Have you ever experienced 5 burger patties, basically nachos on top of it with salsa and the whole bit, and this dense bun? I think I saw the calorie content, and I just went, yeah, okay, that's a heart attack waiting to happen.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like I can't eat something like that now because I will have immediately my body would shut down. You know what's funny about that? That looks like Whopper Burger King that used to be when I was a kid. Remember how I know you older than you. They were
yes.
But your hands were smaller then.
Yeah. I'm still trying to picture you like being like 4'5". I am having a hard time doing this, but there was a time, and where it's like I'm this small, the Whopper's this big, and now I'm this big, and the Whopper barely fits in my hand.
I'm going to connect one thing here is that Grand Rapids Michigan, as boring as it is, white bread as it is in the 50s, 40s, 50s. And the last few years, we've gotten so many great restaurants, we've gotten so many great semi-pro teams, so many great venues, and now we've been beer season the last 4 years in a row, I think, in the United States. It really is an incredible place. And that Whitecaps thing, not because I'm a big baseball fan. My kids go to Whitecaps games all the time.
That's great. Yeah, and props to the whole region, because not only the Whitecaps, I mean, you go down the road, you've got, was it the Kalamazoo Growlers, then you go out to Battle Creek, they've got it. So it really is that whole region is just baseball nuts.
Yeah, they're crazy in Michigan. The funny thing is, there are so many college games too. But colleges are all about an hour. Like major colleges. There's only an hour between University of Michigan and Michigan State, and then you go up north from Michigan University and Western, an hour here, an hour there, Big Rapids. These are all schools that have been famous over the years for their football programs, which are big as well. But the nice thing about that is that when you're in a band, back in the 90s, you can go this place, and then the midnight drive, an hour drive, this place, an hour drive, this place. You would just do that circuit over and over. Got a massive knowledge.
That was smart. That was absolutely smart on your part. It was a Verve Pipe, the college tour of Michigan, and like that's beautiful marketing. And yeah, so it's interesting because I didn't really understand understood the album, but the pre-story. Now I got an idea of the pre-story. So it was this word of mouth, doing from college to college, going from whether it's Kalamazoo to Battle Creek to Lansing and bouncing around, and you pretty much took over Michigan. It was a brilliant plan.
I mean, we really did. We were the big fish in the small pond for quite some time. There were other amazing bands in Michigan, of course. And most of those bands come out of the Detroit area.
Right.
And then they come out of West Side. I mean, look from Frankenmuth, or maybe an hour north of Detroit. So having this side of the city with all of the was very helpful.
Good stuff. There was one other thing I found in the region, and I'm trying to figure out what the store is, because it's like, okay, it's a food store. You can get it's like Target on crack is what I'm going to call it. I think, is it pronounced Major? Meijer? Meyer. Okay, am I right though? It's like Target on crack. It's
huge. Yeah, Meyer is huge. It's been huge since the beginning in the 50s. As a little supermarket, and to be one of the first one-stop shopping place where you could get hardware and groceries together, and pretty quick. It was one of those. It's pretty popular in Texas, and then it blew up. You find them out again for the most part. There's one every 5 miles.
Wow. So they were like, the rest of the country didn't even know this. So they were really ahead of the curve of what has happened now in 2024 when you see these stores. So, wow. Found that fascinating. It was just one of those, I'm digging up Faygo soda, and I saw that, and I went, what the hell is this? And I'm like going, wait a minute. Then I read it and go, it was established then. And I'm like, wait a minute. Target didn't rip off them. No, they didn't rip off Target. Target rip off them. Wait a minute.
Oh my God, they were one of the first ones. And I can tell you this, carries, so there's a reason to go.
Yes, Faygo soda and Meyer. Thank you very much. I have to make the trek out there without a doubt. I will leave you with one other question, because we were talking about baseball, but I'm going to go the sports angle. We know the Detroit Lions had this fantastic season football-wise. We know the Tigers are improving, so it's the question of who is going to win the next title for Detroit. I'm not going to say it's the Pistons. I'm sorry. They're still rebuilding. But I see signs that the Tigers are heading in the right direction, and clearly the Lions are knocking on the door.
You put me in a very awkward position, Rob, and I don't appreciate it. I keep telling people, don't talk about the Lions. I will tell you this. I've been a Lions fan for 52 years now, where I've seen almost every single televised game and into numerous games at the stadium. I've been a disappointed, heartbroken Lions fan for this long, and this is a really period. In fact, I hesitated. My father introduced me to the Lions, and I was my dad. Damn it, Dad! You made me watch the Lions when I was a kid. And my son, I considered jumping teams for my son, because I didn't want to go to disappointment. So last season, when we were watching the playoff game, the NFC West, the NFC
Championship game, yeah,
against the 49ers, and they lost. They blew that lead. My son said, he's 8 years old, he said after the game, Dad, I've been waiting years for the Lions to win a Super Bowl. I'm like, buddy, you have no idea how long I've been playing.
Exactly. It's like going, son, let me tell you about the days of Jeff Comlow, okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you stories that will just make you just go 8 years and ain't anything.
So I'm picking the Lions. We'll championship Tigers.
Hey, look, I think I'm like everybody in the country that jumped on that. Nobody wanted the Niners. The Lions were clearly the story at that point, and we were all just jumping on that Lions bandwagon, because any football fan also knows the history of the team, and you just kind of go, no, why don't we see a team finally get it? So fingers crossed, not trying to jinx you. Definitely a lot of respect, and got Jared Goff. You got a guy who can lead. Yeah. And you go with good reason, and then you got your home kid on the defensive line, which I think is the other great story of that team, without a doubt.
Amazing. I wasn't even a Michigan fan. I'm a Michigan State fan, so I wasn't a Michigan fan, but I jumped on when he told me game for sure.
Yeah, I would imagine the whole state was like going, "We're getting one of us." Oh my! And he wanted it. He was like, he made him well known at the draft. No, I want to stay home.
Yeah.
Getting his wish.
Very, very great.
Absolutely. Again, go to the Verve Pipe's website. They are touring all summer long, jumping around a bunch of different places, doing a lot of stuff on their own, jumping on the Creed tour, at least down in California. They'll do a couple dates with Toad the Wet Sprocket on their anniversary tour. Again, the Brian Vander Ark Show happens in Grand Rapids on classic rock station WLAV. Check out the website if you want to stream what Brian is doing. There's a link for that. Welcome to 2024. Brian, thank you so much for the time, and continue enjoying everything. And let me do it early. Happy birthday coming up in a couple of weeks, so happy birthday to you, my friend.
Thanks for having me. I loved it.
My pleasure. Hey, we'll go back to our regular time next week. That would be 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 Pacific on the A Game on Monday night. Until then, have a great week ahead. Thanks again for tuning in.
Thanks, buddy.